I hate treadmills in the gym. You go nowhere fast. And as an entrepreneur, our days can feel the same way. Like there's never ending things to do, fires to put out, all that kind of stuff. And I've tried everything to solve this and nothing seemed to work. Well, years ago, I started using a time system that kind of worked. And since then, I've continued to refine it and now it's ready to share. I promise you, this will radically change how you think about the things you do and the things you don't do, how you view your days and weeks. I call them Live Truly Free Days. Welcome to the Live Truly Free podcast.
Yeah, I 100% get what you're saying with the going nowhere fast. And I would love any type of solution you could have to just when it feels like you have that overwhelming list that never ends. And no matter how many boxes you check off, there's just more boxes coming into it. I just want to know, what are these days that you're talking about? What are Live Truly Free Days?
Yeah, AJ. So there's three kinds of days, and it's easy to remember if you can remember Live Truly Free. All right. So there's Live Into Your Passion Days. It's Truly Prepare Days, and it's Free to Renew Days. So they're Passion Days, Prep Days, and Renew Days.
Okay, that's pretty easy to remember, but what's the purpose of each day? You can kind of put it together from how you're saying it.
Yeah, you're right. You can pretty much intuit by the name what the day's about. So let me just give a quick overview. Passion days are where you're doing things in your work that are in your passion, okay? And these are passions that are monetizable because that's your business needs to be monetizable, all right? The prepare days can be anything that you need to do in preparing for work or preparing for life. We'll kind of get into what those activities are. But the key to the whole thing are renew days. And renew days, there's only one rule, and the renew days are you can't do anything work-related on renew days. And you really want to do things that are your passions that aren't monetizable, that will renew you.
And is each day, do you approach this like a full day? Because I feel like in a certain day, I might do all three of those activities. Like I might hit an activity that falls into all three of them. How do you approach those? Are you able to actually block out a full day for each one?
Right. I'm going to give you guys a downloadable form that'll help you fill this out. But we're going to want to think about our activities in these categories, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to designate a day. So it's going to be like if it's a passion day, for example. So we put a P on the calendar for passion. And that means predominantly we want to do things that are in our passion that day. I would say greater than 60%, okay? So let me just give an example. So I get a lot of renewal out of exercise, whether that's running or swimming or going to the gym or whatever. So, well, you're not going to just do that one day a week, So there's going to be renew activities I'm going to do on my passion days and on my prepare days. That's why it's predominantly the thinking is this is a passion day or this is a prepare day. So I'm doing activities that are preparing me for the next passion day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But now what I'm thinking is like, why do we need this? What's wrong with what we've got? You work Monday through Friday and then you get the weekends off. Why do you need to sprinkle in these 3 different days when kind of work and weekend are the 2 we have right now?
So let me ask you a question, AJ. Why do you keep using a 250-year-old time system that was developed for the Industrial Revolution and factory workers in England?
I couldn't tell you. The same country that that does that week system didn't teach me why they do it.
Right. I mean, so the only thing that's fundamentally changed over centuries, literally centuries, has been the length of time they work. So they were working Monday through Saturday in the factory, 60, 80 hours a week. There was child labor, all that kind of stuff, right? And so they got rid of the child labor. They shortened the work week to 5 days a week. Our Congress did a lot of that in the 20s, 30s, actually the 30s. Things have changed, but it's still fundamentally designed for the factory worker. And as entrepreneurs, we live in the information age. Got news for you. It's, we're way past industrialization. And so that time system worked great for then. So why not come up with a time system that works great for now?
I see what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. And does this at all tie into what we were talking about last week with the Sabbath and Jubilee? Like you use renew days. Is
Right.
that kind of like the theory of taking a day off to let things grow, or trimming your bushes so that things can grow back better?
Okay. Yeah. So all right, better explain that, what AJ's referring to. So check out last week's episode and you'll hear more on that. Way back in ancient times, ancient Israel, they had 7 years, seven years, which would be 49 years. And then the 50th year was a year of Jubilee, and it was a complete reset economically, agriculturally, everything. So on a grand scale, it was a renewal. Well, this is like a renew day is like a mini renew day. So one of the things that was part of the ancient Israel custom was Sabbath. And that's sourced at the beginning of time. I'm not trying to get all religious or preachy here, but this is just fascinating to me. So in Genesis, it says God created the earth in 6 days and he rested the seventh. And that's where the Jewish calendar came in, with Saturdays being the Sabbath. And they put all these rules on it, and that was bad. But the thing is that the ideal was that we are designed to need time to renew. We need to rest. And that is a foreign concept in Western culture. I think everyone would agree America is probably the hardest working country in the world. And unless you're working for a European conglomerate that owns your division here in the States, you only get 2 weeks off or something,
So it sounds like the system that we're using right now is based on a change that happened about 250 years ago for the Industrial Revolution. But what you're talking about is something that's been adopted from what humans did before that Industrial Revolution, well before that Industrial Revolution.
And that's where the weekends came from. You see, so Saturdays, the Jewish calendar had Saturdays, and then the Christian calendar introduced Sundays because Jesus rose from the dead on the first day of the week. And then I guess someone just got the bright idea, hey, let's just celebrate both and call it a weekend or something, because we're stuck in this mentality of Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm not trying to go against religious traditions or anything like that. I'm simply saying, yes, pick, Sunday or Saturday, or at least have one day a week where you renew and you don't do anything work related.
Why is that renewing part of everything so important?
Okay. So AJ, you may remember I think we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but I've definitely looked at studies on this. And what they've discovered is human productivity we just can't keep going and going and going and going. Okay. So let's go back to the treadmill. You just can't keep running on the treadmill. I remember that study now where they actually studied factory workers in World War I at a munitions plant. So
yeah, we've talked about that.
It's not exactly applicable, but it conceptually what they discovered was that productivity fell off after about 50 hours. Okay. And that's just people, putting gunpowder in a bullet casing or something. I don't know. All right. If you're in the information age and you're creating online content, you're providing services, you're doing even construction or manual things like that, the human body needs a chance to renew. Our bodies need to renew, our brains need to renew, our soul, our spirit, everything about who we are needs a chance to come back. And what the studies show is fascinating. When you take a day off, now, and I'm calling it, and we can get intentional in what all those activities are, but when you do an intentional renew day, the next day should be a passion day. Why? Because you won't believe how productive you're going to be, how creative. And those problems that were just overwhelming you the day before or the week before or whatever all of a sudden you've got great ideas. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, you tie those two together, and that's what I was about to ask you about next was, can't a passion be renewing as well? I'm just trying to, the difference between those 2 days, and like if you're working into your passion, isn't that something that could be like igniting to you and almost renewing, or?
Right. And that's the danger. The danger is that I'm just so into my passion. Look, I've done this. I mean, I'm doing this and I'm discovering this, and I literally have to tell myself to stop. I have always been doing my passion as an entrepreneur. Now, those passions have changed over the years. And so my passions of today are different than the passions of, say 5 or 10 years ago. But I found myself, and actually, when I first started doing like Renew Days, that concept, I was working 60, 80 hours a week, and I was killing myself. Remember, I tell the story in that vacation video about not only taking 76 days off in a year. There's 104 weekend days, AJ. And in those 76 days, there was a 2-week family vacation that I worked on. It was killing me, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, what you're saying sounds great, but as I'm trying to think about it, it sounds very difficult to apply. Like for an entrepreneur, for example, when you start your business and you're going into your passions, you quickly find that a lot of what you get into the business for comes with a lot of things that you didn't expect and that you actually don't like doing.
Right.
So when you have all of those things that you don't like doing and they start to pile up, how can you still think about it in terms of your passion, and how do you let it still be your passion? Or how do you let those days still be passion days?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think we can all relate to, it started off great, and then everything got buried, and I lost, or you lose your passions, or you're doing it less and less, and you're on the treadmill, you're putting out fires, everything becomes very, very instant and present and in the moment kind of stuff. Here's what passion days do, is they start to pull you back into why you started that business to begin with. I got a great example. So this guy has been in the business. He's been doing 30 plus years. He is a seasoned entrepreneur. Okay. And I helped him get in business, and he reconnected with me. And here's why. It's that he wanted to reinvent himself. Well, it turns out reinventing simply meant getting back into his passion. He loves to sell. And it's been a journey to shake off 20, 30 years of passion stealing stuff that seems so important to do. And he goes, and so he's restructured his organization, he's streamlining, and he's actually changing the direction of his business to respond to the economic conditions. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And he is getting more and more excited. And passion days remind you so look at it this way. Prep days are doing all those fires and things that you don't like doing. Okay. If you've got all prep days and no passion days, you got a problem.
So what you're saying is giving us a framework for how to prioritize things, because it is like, if you notice when you're in your business, it just feels like you're doing prep day, prep day, prep day, prep day. Now you should be conscious of that and realize, oh, I need to go back into the direction of my passions, because ultimately it's unsustainable the other way.
You're right. It does help prioritize. Okay. It absolutely does that. But this is more than that. It's way more powerful than that. What this will do, and this is why it's so hard to adapt. Okay. Because we're pushing against 250 years, Monday through Friday, and I take the weekends off. Okay. I go to the factory and I put gunpowder in the munitions. I screw the bolt on that nut, or that nut onto the bolt. I said that backwards. I do that zit, 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 zit for 8 to 10 hours a day. I go home to the wife and kinder. Okay. It's like, we're blowing that whole mindset up, and all your friends keep living that way. Entrepreneur friends. And you're like, I'm living truly free. But it's not, you can't get there overnight. It takes a while. Remember, I said I was working, I only took 76 days off. I was loving my passion so much so I was killing myself. And what would that? I became, AJ, a very boring person. I go to a party. What am I going to talk about? Well, what do I do the other 300 days a year? Work. How many people at a party do you like talking to about their work?
Usually that's a conversation people only revert to if they have nothing else to talk about.
If you're working 300 days a year, I'm exaggerating. Well, that's not too far off, really. What else is there what else do you have to talk about? You have no hobbies. You have no other passions you're pursuing. You have no life. You don't even probably know the names of your children. I only had two boys, so it was easy to remember their names. I wrote them down.
And I think one part of this that we haven't hit on or too much is these prep days, because I feel like prep activities, they're inescapable. You're going to have them every day, right? Because you have to live. You have to brush your teeth. You have to cook your food. You have to clean up your house. You have to do the laundry. Like, you have to do all of these chores. How do you put those in? Are you able to push those off to one day, or do you, or am I correct that they're prep days in the first place, or a prep activity in the first place? But
yes,
how do you think of prep days?
Okay, so first of all, let's kind of give a little organization here. So the first thing you want to do is start looking at all the things you got to do and go passion, prep. And then on prep, I said it's both prep for life and prep for work. So in other words, take a weekend, for example. Let's say you're going to take your weekend off. All right. You go, well, then just simply decide one of them is going to be a renew day. And 60% of that day, I'm going to do renewing activities. That could be a nap. Okay. That's it. It doesn't have to be some huge, amazing, I'm going to go mountain climbing thing. It can be just, I'm going to fall asleep during the game on TV. I'm going to be very intentional about that. Don't bother me. Leave me alone. But I could use the other day and throw a bunch of prep activities on there. Okay. So, right. Grocery shopping and things like that. Now, AJ, I happen to know you do like to cook, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't so much like to shop, but I do like to cook.
Okay. All right. But the cooking, being in the kitchen, that's not a chore. That's a passion.
Yeah. I would almost consider it more renewing than anything. Like, just being able to cook it and then eat it. Like,
absolutely. So for you, like preparing some meals that you could maybe freeze and eat during the week, gourmet style thing, could be a passion thing, could be a renewing activity that you would do on your renew day. For me, it would be a prep activity. So this is a really important distinction. What's prep for one person could be passion for somebody else. Now, unless you're going to start a cooking, like delivering meals, and I know someone who did that. So they took their passion for cooking and made it monetizable into a business. All right. Now it moves from a renew activity to a passion day activity.
Yeah. So it really is person dependent. And that's also part of what makes this difficult, is because you do really have to think through each of these things and what's your mindset going into them? How do you feel after it's done? To really think through, do you consider this to be a prep activity? And then with the context of prep activities or prepping for your passions and prepping to renew yourself, takes time and a lot of just energy and just being conscious of how do these things make me feel to be able to accurately do that. The big challenge that you also talked about there is fitting this into that industrial work week. Once you can think through your activities and know which one's which, how do you start making this fit into the typical work week? Because like you said, at the end of the day, your friends and your family, they're still working that typical work week. Most of the people aren't going to have lived truly free days yet until this video goes big. How do you get started on incorporating this in a regular week?
So first of all, take the industrial work week concept and get rid of it. Just wad it up and throw it away. Okay. Now start with Sunday to Saturday. Figure out one thing. Let's keep this really, really simple, because you are going to go through a massive reprogramming. Pick out one renew day. All right. That would be my challenge. And in fact, we're going to have this in a downloadable format. So it's going to be broken into two parts. One are activities, and then one's a 28-day blank calendar where what I want you to do is just pick one day. I want you to come up with 4 renew days in that 4-week period, one a week. Nothing radical here. That anchors everything. Okay. It could be Wednesdays. It doesn't matter. Whatever your renew day is, it becomes kind of your Sabbath, your Jubilee, whatever. What you want to start trying to do is start designating the rest of the days, prep or passion. You're not going to be very good at this at first. Okay. You're just not. So lots and lots of grace here. All right. And then you want to start going, okay, maybe I'm going to, you know what? This is a passion day. It's something I'm going to do in my business. I'm going to do something in my business that I love doing. And maybe that activity only takes you an hour to do, but you've designated that day a passion day, and that's the activity you're going to do. Okay. That's where you start. The rest of the day may be a mess because think about it, AJ, you don't right now think about your activities. You just do them.
Mm-hmm.
When you go play hoops with the guys, are you thinking, well, is this a passion or a prep or a renew activity?
No, I'm thinking I'm ready to go play basketball and I want
It's a hoop activity. But what is it? When you go and do that, what category does that fall in?
I'd put that under renew as well, probably.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Now you have one. So now when you go play hoops, you're going, I'm going with intentionality. I'm going to do this to renew.
Probably make me play better too if I thought about it like that.
It changes everything. I tell you, it's going to revolutionize you. It's going to revitalize you. It's going to rejuvenate you. Lots of R words. It's going to do a lot.
I really do. I'm very interested to see the revolutionary impact of this because it feels like it's pushing up against a lot of, traditional American hard work. Keep working, stay working. You work and you work and you rest. You work and you rest. Basically, what you're thinking. Do you agree that it's really pushing up against that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's why I say the whole thing anchors around the renew day. And look, guys, if all you did was take that 28-day calendar I'm going to give you, and the link is down in the show notes. All you have to do is if you just did the renew days for the first 28 days, a real renew day, something that renewed you. You did something on that day that renewed you, and you didn't take one text, one email, one anything work related. Just watch what happens to you. It's amazing. So that's a great place to start. And guys, let us know how that's working for you. We really, really want to know. We're going to be providing a ton more resources over the coming months to start building this out. But in the meantime, check out this video right here on summer vacation. You can watch it in the fall or the winter. It's anytime. And you're going to get more of this concept and the Sabbath and Jubilee and all kinds of cool stuff. And until next time, may you live truly free.